Hey, what a Wednesday. It's Rumor and Innuendo. I'm Dominic D'Angelo of SEScoops.com, adfreeshows.com, OneTrueSport.com, and I am here today, per usual, with Robert Karpelis, WE Creative_ish. Robert, are you ready for this Wednesday? Are you ready for the Dynamite? Let me ask you that.
I'm excited for the Dynamite. Obviously, super pumped based on the preview that I 100% read before coming on today, and I'm not going to react cold when you tell it to me. Studied it extensively. Cannot wait to see Joey Janela take on the Dark Order. Was that what's on this show?
You nailed it. You nailed it. Might as well be in regards to how they've been promoting things.
Oh, okay. Well, they have to rebound from last week with the lower than normal ratings. All of the other sport ball finals are over.
Mm-hmm.
Those individuals who will not be named have been crowned respective champions in their sport. So outside of, I'm guessing, some baseball games, not a ton of direct competition for Dynamite tonight. So we should see them top over 1 million.
What are they leading in with? Is it Big Bang Theory?
You know what? I haven't checked my TV, my guide thing to see what's on TBS at 7:30. I can't wait for a 7-year-old episode of Big Bang Theory to be your hot lead-in. By the way, I think this is the one where Sheldon is difficult to live with.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I wonder how they do if Seinfeld was their lead-in. Would that change things?
I mean, that would lead to me watching directly. I'm a big Seinfeld mark. So, yes. Big Bang Theory, like I'll have it on sometimes, and my wife's like, really? Like, because there's certain shows you can watch. I've seen every episode of Seinfeld hundreds of times. I mean, it's required in law school. The first 9 seasons of The Simpsons can probably quote those chapter and verse. Big Bang Theory it's a good show. It's fine. I don't know that it's something that people are as devoted to as fanatical. It's just nice background noise.
Background noise.
Dynamite is very much not nice background noise. You have to actively participate and watch, in part because half the time you don't know who's on television. They have a roster of established guys that people are plugged in and excited about. And then they just insist on constantly bringing in new people every other week who then ultimately disappear. And you can't sink your teeth into who's on the roster, who's not on the roster. There's a comment here from Mr. Dre Owens who says, forget Billy and the CW. We want Tony and the WBD. Tony Khan did do an interview with the friends, your friends at Fightful.
Oh,
the one wrestling outlet that I don't think you work directly for, but your man crush on Sean Ross Sapp is second to none. In this breaking interview, I mean, look, if you're not subscribed to them, you are missing out on cutting edge stuff. Like Tony saying he's happy to be on TBS and TNT, and he loves working with Warner Discovery. Huge bombshell. I don't know how that wasn't in the headline.
I wasn't aware of that he liked doing that.
6ix9ine out that the NBA draft is tonight. That might be some competition.
Ronnie,
it's a blind spot for me. The NBA the last several years hasn't really captivated me the way it used to. We've talked about it on here. I don't know that I'm necessarily going out of my way to watch the NBA draft, but I guess that is something that could pull some viewers away, or at least gives Tony a good excuse for why he's pulling some viewers away. But we'll get to the Dynamite in a minute. There's other news stories for us to tackle here.
Yes, there are. Starting off with some sad news. Sika
Anoa'i. Let me
yes.
step in there. Passed away
at the age of 79. Was kind of unexpected, I think, from the mainstream eye, because we were hearing health issues with Afa, but not necessarily with Sika. So it was the nephew of Sika actually issued the first announcement revealing the news, but then WWE addressed it. All wrestling outlets basically addressed it, and then Roman Reigns issued a statement too, stating, "My family and I thank everyone for the outpouring of support in the name of my father. I'm gonna butcher this, so I won't even say it. Pola Via Lieta Sika Anoa'i will forever be remembered as one half of the Wild Samoans tag team. My father has a profound impact on my entire family. We are forever grateful for the foundation he built for us. There's no way to fill the void left by his passing, but my sisters and I will do our best to represent him and his legacy. Rest in power, Dad. We love you. And there was an outpour from the family about like how much Sika meant to them. And from like the a Samoan family like that, they're tight knit. It's like faith, family, and wrestling. So that's a big aspect of their lives. And it's not it's never good to have this stuff. And what a legacy he's left. I was very novice to the Wild Samoans and stuff like that. I Robert, what were your memories of some of these guys at both Alpha and Sika?
Sure. So during my tenure at WWE, part of the things that we did, all hands on deck world, was we would quality control and screen a lot of the old footage, stuff that would ultimately go up on, at that time, WWE 24/7, and then eventually the WWE Network. So we watched a lot of the old house shows: Madison Square Garden, Philadelphia Spectrum, Boston Gardens, and Alpha and Sika were staples on there. And what was entertaining to watch was, even back then, their style was so different to what everybody else did. They came out, there was a presence to them. It's characters that in 2024, there would be articles written about how problematic it might be, because they're coming out there without shoes. They're being portrayed as savages who can't speak. Wrestling was a different world back then. However, the legacy that they instilled both in the ring and as businessmen within wrestling is second to none. The bloodline, the Samoan dynasty, you cannot the lesson that I was a Gary Hart lesson was, you cannot have a wrestling promotion without Samoans. They
Yeah.
are essential. It's part of the fabric of the wrestling world. Afa and Sika at their academy trained a number of wrestlers. The big flashy names would be Yokozuna and Batista, who
Mhm.
came through there, and obviously Sika as the father of Roman Reigns and the late Rosie has an in-ring legacy that's direct. They've been featured. They were on WWE programming 2 years ago, year and a half ago. I remember there was a Hell in a Cell match where they anointed Roman with the flowers and the necklace. So their presence still exists on WWE television, and it will continue. Much like you, I've heard that Afa was not in the best health, so I was definitely surprised to hear about the passing of Sika. But the best legacy for him, quite frankly, is this bloodline storyline that now it's like if you really want to look at it in wider context, like a 40-year storyline.
Yeah.
And it continues to be and may well go down as being one of, if not the best long-term wrestling storyline of all time.
And you know what? Like bring up a great point. How like what Gary Hart said is like how integral having the Samoans in a wrestling promotion are, and they always, for the most part, have been like in the middle of the card and something like that. Where it comes to like they're not main eventers. They're not the big prominence. They're not a Bruno Sammartino, a John Cena. You get The Rock there. He was an exception, but it's kind of neat that they get their quote unquote flowers now, and it's in this bloodline story, and one of the biggest, well built, well structured, well told storylines in wrestling history. And for long term too, as this, and like Roman Reigns is at the forefront of it, and Sika's legacy lives on certainly through him and through what these guys are doing on the top of the card.
Absolutely. And it's nice seeing the outpouring from it, the number of fans across generations who are aware of the Wild Samoan legacy. It's one of the things WWE, good, bad, or indifferent, over the years, when it's entertainers, performers, talent who have been under their umbrella that remained in good graces, Vince continued to put them at the forefront long past the point where they were able to directly contribute. You look at a big Cat Ernie Ladd, a classy Freddie Blassie, Patterson, Briscoe, younger audiences that were far too young to have seen a lot of these guys really in their heyday know who they are, because WWE likes to celebrate it's legacy. And the Wild Samoans have always been a part of that, the broader Samoan family. But it's funny you say like The Rock was the main eventer. Yokozuna was a main eventer, but we never knew that he was part of that family. And as a kid, as dumb as I was watching wrestling, I'm like, oh, I guess he's Japanese. Like, and you look at it now, like, the hell was I thinking?
Right.
Like, it's just, you just take it, like, 10, 11 years, 9, 10 years old, whatever it was. And you're like, okay, so that guy is clearly Japanese. Cool.
Right.
And you look at it and you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
Very, very, very wrong. What's fun about where we're at right now is, that Paul Heyman quote about how they were the innings.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, are you insane? Like, this thing is over. We're in the 9th inning. This is going to be done. We are now positioned in June of 2024 for another couple years of storyline ahead of us. Friend of the show and fellow Working Stiff co-host Mike Lawrence in our group chat was talking about how he doesn't like Solo. And we're like, yeah, that's the point. You're not supposed to see Solo as a proper replacement for Roman Reigns.
Mm-hmm.
The evolution of this story is such that Solo is sort of, I'm going to use The Godfather. It's fair. I think it's fair to most people.
It's a perfect analogy.
Guys, if you haven't seen The Godfather,
have you seen The Godfather?
I don't know who hasn't seen The Godfather, but Solo is Sonny.
Mm-hmm.
At the point where Vito gets taken out in a failed assassination attempt, Sonny's the hothead. His logic, his thought process, his actions are not the same, but the behavior that he's initiating is to theoretically have the same overall goal. But Solo's focus within the story is so subtle and so on point that the bloodline was founded after Roman became world champion.
Mm-hmm.
So the mission of the bloodline was keep that title, because as Afa and Sika taught us, when you have the gold, now you have the power and you have the say in what happens in this industry. And that was what was the motivating factor for the bloodline, and keeping it tight-knit, keeping it within the Usos. With Solo in charge, he's brought in the Tongans, where you're bringing in not direct blood. Haku is sort of this spiritual, but he's not direct blood.
Mm-hmm.
And you're bringing in Jacob Fatu as this complete lunatic, this wild man, this out of control monster. So that by the time Roman Reigns comes back, the bloodline's mission is completely off the rails.
Right.
And it's really fun to see, because there wasn't that overt moment. There wasn't that Solo taking out Roman Reigns and saying, this is mine. It was subtle. And what makes it so much more fun is this is all Roman's doing. In his quest to keep power, you tell people what you want them to hear. So he told Jey Uso, you're main event Jey Uso. You're not just a guy, you're my main event. So Jey Uso believes that, and then tries to take the main event. Tells Jimmy Uso, you're my right hand, you're my top guy, you're my number one advisor, when he's really a lackey. And he got in Solo's ear and was telling him, you're the next tribal chief, to try to keep him at bay. And now that dude believes it, this is all Roman being hoisted by his own petard. So there are so many like layers to this, and so many fun ways to see where this is going to go, that it's exciting for the remainder of this year. What are the next steps going to be? It sounds like we're going to get Solo and Cody at SummerSlam, but first we got to get through Money in the Bank.
That's right. And like, it speaks to another thing about Solo was the aspect that, yeah, he's young, but he's got a lot of this veteran talent around him already when it comes to the, Tama Tonga and Tangaloa. And then now you have Jacob Fatu, who's such an athlete as well. He's very young still on the mic and everything. You have Paul Heyman in the wings helping him out. So it's like you're building Solo. You're building this new persona coming in, and this wild card, this Sonny Corleone that you have going. And now Money in the Bank, we're going to see a little bit of that come to play in this triple tag match that was announced. Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton will be taking on the Bloodline. Now, advertised on the poster are all four of the Bloodline members right now. So we have Solo, we have Guerrillas of Destiny, and then we have Jacob Fatu with Paul Heyman in the background. So it's not very clear. I looked at WWE.com. It's not clear who will be competing in this match. But Jacob Fatu did retweet it. I don't know. Be nice to see Fatu in action. Or do you think they should table him and build the anticipation to actually see Fatu compete in the ring? Or is this a good way to do it? Like have him debut at Money in the Bank here?
I think the fact that it's still up in the air makes it really fun, and you're building to the SmackDown this Friday, which is at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
And the sort of the main event or thing that they're teasing is an anointing of Solo Sikoa in Madison Square Garden.
Mm-hmm.
The building that, again, Wild Simone's, their legacy. It was coincidental before any of this happened that this is what was set up for this Friday's episode of SmackDown.
Right.
And again, this is a really morbid point to make, but this is now the third such story in a week where someone's actual death is forwarding a compelling story. We see it with Jeff Jarrett in the Owen Hart tournament. We obviously saw it with Bo Dallas and Bray Wyatt. And now whatever occurs on Friday is going to be that much more poignant with the passing of Sika. And
Yes.
it's not an exploitation because this was already announced. This was already the plan that was set in motion. So there is that is a weird thing. I remember this was when Paul Bearer passed away, and they did the bit on air with his ashes.
Yeah.
He would have loved that.
You would have. Yeah.
Using this for an angle, using this for a story to help these people out. That's the intent. And I think if Sika knew this is going to help forward his family and help forward the storyline, he would be all for it.
100%. Yeah.
It's less tasteless than in my era when we had Eddie Guerrero's passing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was rough.
My goodness. Yeah, that's rough times. But no, this to what you're saying, like all these stories, I think that's what makes these much more compelling is every one of these ones from Jeff Jarrett to Bo Dallas to now the Bloodline all have this strong emotional connection with this person that they lost. So, and there's not an insincerity about it. It's all genuine. And it's like, there's the overhead of wrestling over encompassing it all. And sure, that's, the soap opera business of it all, but that's the business that they're all in and that they're all aware of. So I think it's everybody's along for the ride, even if they're no longer with us. So I think that's the cool aspect.
To that end, just as a follow up from yesterday, a quick note, sending our condolences to Pat McAfee, whose father-in-law passed away unexpectedly on Monday. That is why he was not on Raw. There was a lot of speculation that this was storyline based. That was sort of really obviously it's always unfortunate timing when someone passes away, but especially unfortunate timing because last Thursday and Friday on the Pat McAfee show, you had the Wyatt Six interfering and messing with production. And then when Pat wasn't there in Indianapolis, you were thinking, hey, something must be going on within the story. This doesn't just happen. And that Miz's presence on commentary led to his own storyline. He goes, oh, this must have been mapped out. It was not. Pat mentioned it yesterday on his show that this happened, and we'll echo the sentiment that he had, which is, tell your people that you love them. You never know what's going to happen. And no, this is not the segue into a Blue Chew ad.
No.
Tell the people you love them, but no. We'll pivot to other things we love, which is the Dynamite.
The Dynamite. Well, I don't know if you first saw the initial graphic, Robert, of what they had lined up for the card yesterday.
The only thing I remember seeing on it, which made me laugh to no end, it just said MJF in Buffalo.
Well, basically, yeah, it was like maybe 3 matches advertised, but it was very bare bones, and kind of leans into a lot of the criticism that AEW gets, but specifically Tony Khan when it comes to, hey, is he booking on the fly? Which reports are that he is. And, we did get a new match announced in addition to what we had. And that is the Blackpool Combat Club taking on LIJ. I'm not even going to try to say it. The
LJN, the action the video game company?
LJN. They're taking on the big fellas. I got the Roddy Piper one right here. So,
wow, that was good timing. So it's Blackpool Combat. Who is this?
Lost
LaGuardia? LGA?
I can't believe you're making me do this. Los Ingobernables,
Oh,
whatever the
Los
tag means.
Ingobernables. Okay. I did not realize that. Oh, I see it right here in the note. Blackpool Combat Club taking on Shingo Takagi, Titan, and Hiromu Takahashi.
Yeah,
Nailed it.
I know the faction, but how many of these fans are aware of who these individuals are that the Blackpool Combat Club are going up against? There's been barely any. We got Shingo. We got some introduction about Shingo, but everybody else basically foreign to these this casual fan base that might be tuning into Dynamite, right?
You kind of proved my point earlier that I was saying about Dynamite. And again, I'm now looking at the rest of the card. It's like they knew. When you don't rely on your talent consistently day in and day out, week in and week out, the audience doesn't build any sort of affinity for them. So you immediately just your brain turns off.
Yeah.
It's Blackpool Combat Club against other people. And I get that that's the gimmick for Forbidden Door. Fine. But your casual audience, when they don't know what's going on, they might not necessarily know these guys are coming from another company or not here week in and week out. They may think they've just missed stuff and they go, you know what? I'm good. I know the guys on Raw. I've heard of Drew McIntyre. I've heard of Seth Rollins. Cool. I get the Bloodline. Bloodline's a good catch-all. I can go watch the Bloodline. I know Randy Orton. Neat.
Yes. Rey Mysterio.
Heard of Rey Mysterio. This, I'm sure it'll be a very good match, but I don't know who's compelled to tune in that wasn't already compelled to tune in.
Right.
You've got that 550,000 people who tuned in last week. I'm sure every one of them, to the man, to the woman, will tune in and watch this episode of Dynamite. But what on this card, and I'm not going to keep switching back and forth, else is there that's, hey, what are we hooking our casual fans with?
Well, I mean, we do have an Owen Hart Cup tournament match. Jay White taking on Rey Fénix. Opening round. That's pretty. I would say that's a little compelling. We have the AEW champion.
It's a very strong match.
Yeah,
but it's a cold match. We saw Pac and Claudio, very good match, cold match. You look at the King and Queen of the Ring tournament. You look at the Money in the Bank qualifiers. There's storylines embedded within them.
Yeah,
I don't know that there's really a major storyline going on with Jay White and Rey Fénix unless Death Triangle is feuding with the Blackpool Bullet Club Gold. Yeah, maybe this happened on an episode of Collision somewhere. I don't know, but it wasn't forefront of my mind. It's a very good match. It's a match on paper. If you're booking a PWG show, hell yeah, give these guys 25 minutes. Let them tear down the house. For here, it'll be good, but you need that other piece, I guess.
Yeah, where have we seen Jay White might have cut a promo on this match?
By the way, there's a comment from Cammy Star who said, "I lost interest in AEW over not knowing who these New Japan guys are."
Exactly. Point is
made. You need to listen to Scott Chaplin's New Japan Corner.
That's it. Is that the new segment on Working Stiff I don't know about?
It's always been a segment. Scott's New Japan Corner. It was great. I was able to take a nap for like 5 to 7 minutes. But it's important. It was important stuff. What else is there on? What else is on this important episode of Dynamite that we're trying to sell and hook because we want people to tune in tomorrow to hear our take on it? Or if you just don't want to watch Dynamite, we'll fill you in tomorrow. You'll get everything you need to know tomorrow at noon Eastern.
Daniel Garcia is set to appear. That's all it's listed there.
Like a magic act?
The magic act, yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, we know that he's targeting Ospreay.
Yep.
Who is the number one contender for the world title, but he also has the international title, which Danny Garcia wants for reasons. When he could be going after the continental title, which is held by Okada, who doesn't have a match for Forbidden Door, does he?
No, he does not.
Okay, but what do I know? Anyway, by the way, imagine how great that would be if it's Danny Garcia going up against Kazuchika Okada.
Yeah. Get a little bit more eyes on things, kind of a big name there for Okada. We have, this is probably the most compelling, very much a questionable tag team match here. Main event, likely Swerve Strickland and international champion Will Ospreay will be taking on the Gates of Agony. Oh boy, little tension we have between Swerve and Will. But I think you talked about this yesterday a little bit. Shouldn't Will come out guns a-blazing, like at what he has against Swerve in regards to, he said, keep my family out of your mouth, and Swerve did not. So is this a way to handle the go home match here before they have it at the Forbidden Door? What do you think here?
I mean, on the one hand, yeah, this is pure Attitude Era style booking. You're taking your champion and challenger who don't like each other. You're putting them in a tag match against a united, formidable duo. What's going to happen? Swerve wants revenge on the Gates of Agony because the Gates of Agony turned on him, which was a thing that happened, I believe, at some point in
Yes.
time. Ospreay is trying to establish that hey, he's not thrilled with Swerve, but he's going to have his back, bruv. So it's going to be, well, is he going to turn on him? Is he not going to turn on him? How are they going to coexist? How are they going to coexist, Tom? How is this going to happen?
Yes, I don't know. I don't
Very,
know.
very compelling, but at least you're able to tell that story. It's a main event. I think Swerve and Ospreay have fantastic chemistry. Anytime you get Ospreay in the ring, it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, it definitely is. He's fun on the mic. So is Swerve. So they can make something pretty compelling out of this, I think. I just think it's just kind of out of place overall. Them having a match at Forbidden Door, it just seems very sudden, like Band-Aid ripping off, trying to make stuff happen, and that's it. As far as anything else goes to close out, we have Saraya and Anna Jay and Harley Cameron taking on Toni Storm, Mariah May, and Mina Shirakawa. Shirakawa, thank you.
That's a novel idea, to have champion and challenger who don't like each other teaming up on a show twice.
Yes.
On the same show.
Yes.
Begging Tony to play a different SmackDown video game while booking this. Put away Here Comes the Pain. Take out SmackDown versus Raw. Play that storyline mode, and then get notes.
Then get some notes. Hey,
it's a cool idea, but don't do it. You're doing it twice in the same show.
Yeah.
Spread the love a little bit, my man.
You know what? Maybe that's what I will be able to ask him tomorrow during the conference call for AEW Forbidden Door. Yes, there is a media call starting at 12:15. Oh, yeah, I got to talk to you about that.
Oh, geez, thanks.
Standard time.
Way to. You'd think that Dom and I don't communicate outside of this. This is great. By the way, this is legit what would happen with my co-host on Working Stiff, Dan St. Germain, is we'd be live on air, and then Dan would just be like, what are we doing for Patreon? You're like, what?
Huh?
What are we going to do for Patreon on Saturday? Like, we're still recording the show. Okay, does 10 a.m. work for you guys? Damn, we're recording live.
Recording live. We're live, pal. So,
I do like, by the way, fun comment here. I heard Robert is banned for life from all AEW events. No, not quite. They're very happy with me. No issues with the fine folks overall in All Elite Wrestling. The next time that they are down here in South Florida, I'm sure I'll make the trip. Actually, Raw is coming to Sunrise, Florida in August.
Oh,
so maybe I will. I'll take a trip out there. The last wrestling show I went to actually was the AEW show that was here.
Wow.
Outside of my little jaunts with Boca Raton Championship Wrestling, which is super fun local promotion here. Get to bring in a lot of interesting people, and I'm not plugging them right now. What I'm plugging is the fact that Dom's got a bunch of other podcasts that he actually shows up for, as opposed to bailing on me to go ask Tony Khan a valuable question that Tony will 100% not answer. What, do you have a question lined up?
I got a couple in mind. Yeah. Got a couple. Do you want me to
way to plug us in?
Do you want me to say? I want to ask maybe about the ratings.
I'm sure someone's going to ask him about the ratings. You know what he's going to say? We were number 1 and number 3 in our demo for those key windows of time between men 18 to 19. We also were the highest rated show in Sioux City, Iowa. We're killing it, and ratings are stupid.
Other question I was going to ask: is he booking on the fly? And what are his criticisms on that? Thoughts on
Of
that?
course he's not booking on the fly. We're giving everything the contemplation it needs. However, our roster has sustained injuries, and wrestling cannot be a static product. You need to be dynamic and constantly working towards giving the fans exactly what they want. Yes, I can do every Tony Khan answer.
Final question: what are the whereabouts of Ricky Starks? Where is he? Oh, yeah, I hear he's healthy. Can you give
Ricky
us some more?
Starks is healthy. We're in constant communication. We tried it. We've been working with him creatively. Sometimes talent has their vision and their ideas of what they want, and we want to find something that's going to best highlight Ricky while also enhancing Dynamite and Collision. And be sure to tune in to Collision this Saturday at 8 Eastern, unless we're preempted by another airing of The Meg, starring Jason Statham.
You know what? What we have to do is mirror the responses. If I ask him one of those questions, we got to mirror your response and his response together. And imagine if he just took it verbatim from you. He's like, "That's not bad."
Wouldn't shock me. It's almost like I know what I'm doing. It's almost like Dom knows what he's doing, but because we are so over at a time, he has his other podcast with Mr. Rob Van Dam that drops every Monday at 4:20 p.m. Check out rvdtv.com. He also has Straight Shoot with the Boss with Magnum TA and Greg Gagne. You can get that on the Four Horsemen Network, as well as the One True Sport Network. You can get it early there if you subscribe to their Patreon. And then there is Working Stiff that drops every Friday, if Dom remembers, with myself, Dan St. Germain, Scott Chaplin, and Mike Lawrence. We're going to be talking grief in wrestling, as well as the last Who Killed WCW episode, probably talking some Dynamite, but we will about everything that happened on the Dynamite last night, as well as a number of other news stories we did not get a chance to touch on today, including a potential WNBA star appearing in the Royal Rumble. Tune in for that. But until then, on behalf of the time-sensitive Dominic D'Angelo, I'm Robert Karpolis. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
Hey, we're out of time.